my name is Evelyn, and I have a small YouTube channel that's growing, and I decided that how can I have a YouTube channel getting information out to people without talking about sex trafficking and injustices that are happening under our noses here in America, and almost nobody's doing anything about it. It's not getting publicized on the major news outlets very often, and people aren't talking about it at election time that much. People aren't talking about sex trafficking. People aren't talking about abortion. And to me, those issues are much more important, much bigger issues than the stuff that everybody gets on Facebook and on the news about, arguing about left, right, this, that, all these little issues that don't matter. They're not as big of issues as these issues. So I'm not one that I would say that I have a specific political party, but I do believe in morals, and I believe in standards, and I believe that America is missing a lot of evil that's going on under our noses, and we need to do something about it. If we want to be a country that takes care of its citizens, that looks out for the good of people, we need to fix a lot of these problems and issues. So without further ado, live action. If you look up on YouTube, live action Lila Rose, you'll find this live action channel that is pro-life, and they have been doing research to find out and uncover the truth of what's going on in the area of Planned Parenthood and what they're doing to aid sex traffickers. So we're going to watch this video. It's called Sex Abuse Cover Up at Planned Parenthood.
It is the insatiable dedication to uncovering the absolute truth that keeps us from turning a blind eye to corruption and to injustice. To tyrants and victims and secrets and lies.
The insatiable dedication to uncovering
This is
the
Lila
absolute
Rose.
truth. In the following interview, you will hear the testimony of former Planned Parenthood manager Ramona Trevino, who uncovers the truth that in the wake of live-action sex trafficking investigation, Planned Parenthood lied to the American people about retraining their staff on detecting and reporting sexual abuse. Instead, Planned Parenthood staffers were trained on how to hide their activities from investigators.
In the past week, Live Action has released undercover videos showing Planned Parenthood staffers all too eager to help purported teenage sex workers get abortions and contraception.
Well, a New Jersey senator is today calling for a federal investigation into the group Planned Parenthood.
An employee at Planned Parenthood clinic who agrees to cover up a child sex ring.
Planned Parenthood Federation of America went out publicly saying that they would retrain all of their staff on how they reported abuse.
And the training was to make sure that sex traffickers, sexual abuse cover-up was detected and reported.
That's the assumption.
Was that the way they communicated it to you? Okay.
Yes, that's the idea that we all had. That was our perception. And when we were called into this meeting, I went in really believing that Planned Parenthood could redeem themselves. They're going to prove that they really do care about women, and this is something that really concerns them. I walk into the room, it's dark, we sign in, and there's a projector screen pulled down, and they begin to play all of the previous undercover investigations that had been put out, about Planned Parenthood. And I became very perplexed. I thought, what's going on here? Are we showing these things because they're trying to show us what not to do, the things that are wrong, that we don't do these things. And so I raised my hand and I said, I'm confused. Like, when are we going to actually begin the retraining? What can I do as a manager to take this information back to my staff and put, enforce policies and procedures that would help protect women who are experiencing either sex trafficking or abuse, sexual abuse in any way, because that's a difficult subject to talk about if you ever have a patient come in who expresses that. And so I really wanted to know how we dealt with that. And And she immediately, shot me down, and she said, "We're not here to talk about that, Ramona. We are here to teach you how to identify if you're being videotaped or recorded or entrapped in any way." At that moment, my heart just sunk. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe that we were actually there to train on how to identify if we're being recorded. Again, it goes back to, why do we have something to hide? Why is this an issue for us? That experience for me left me so disgusted that I couldn't see how Planned Parenthood could ever redeem themselves after that.
Okay, let's watch another.
In 2011, Live Action conducted an undercover investigation into Planned Parenthood, posing as a pimp and a prostitute who were looking for help running their child sex trafficking ring. 8 different staffers at 7 different facilities
Child
showed a
sex
willingness
trafficking.
to aid and abet sex traffickers. The following is a compilation reel of this investigation.
We're involved in sex work.
Okay.
So, there's some other girls that we kind of manage that they kind of need help too.
Right. We see people from, every walk of life. So, for a while we were treating all the girls at Paper Moon and various places around town. So that's good. No judgment, no sharing of information.
Some of the girls, they'll have like 14, 15.
You can get birth control testing, anything without a parent. The only thing it requires over 18 if they're a minor is an abortion. But there's also ways that judicial bypasses we can get around that if you guys ever need it. If someone is a minor and they don't want their parents, their parents' insurance, so an abortion would show up. You fill out paperwork, and we help you kind of set it up, and then we have a specific confidential hotline that will call you at whatever number you give us and handle the whole thing. So for someone who's a minor, that's a really good option. We do them probably once or twice a month here. So we're pretty good at handling if someone doesn't want someone else to know or doesn't want to hear. Let me give you a card. I'm Kimberly. Thank you so much. I'm here most of the time.
We're involved in sex work. So we have some other girls that we manage and work with that they're going to be testing as well. So do you guys see that?
Yeah, we see yeah. Okay, we see people doing like we see people doing like and everything is so only confidential. They can come in, make the appointments. I give you guys the numbers, you can make the appointments over the phone.
These are minor girls that are no longer with their parents. They're with a pimp.
We have a family planning.
And he's talking to them, saying, "I have these minor girls, and I'm doing sex work with them. How can I get them birth control? How can I get them abortions without telling their parents?"
Is it still confidential?
Yeah.
And they're helping them. Instead of helping the girls, they're helping the pimps continue to abuse these girls.
They might need an abortion. And how is the best way? Should they go about that?
They just show up and set up an appointment. In terms of insurance, they would probably speak to one of our entitlement people to get them set up with some insurance. They don't have to be citizens to get the insurance, and it is confidential.
In other words, people who've come from other countries who are minors, who are being taken advantage of and abused, they are supporting the pimps instead of supporting the girls that need help.
You do have to be careful. If they are a minor, we are obligated, if we hear any certain information, to kind of report. 14 and under, we have to report.
14 under. That includes being 14. Right?
Yeah, 14, once they get to 15, then there's a little bit more flavor. So as long as they just lie,
15?
say, he's 15, 16, as long as they don't say 14, and as long as it's not too much of an age gap, then we just kind of
What if they do say they're 14?
You never got this from me, just to make all of our lives easier.
Okay.
If they're 14 and under, just send them right there if they need an abortion.
Oh, God. A 14-year-old. That's a baby. So this 14-year-old that her mom sent her from another country to come to America for a better life is enslaved by this pimp.
let's not do this way, let's go this way, that
And Planned Parenthood just kills her baby and sends her back to her pen. Over and over again.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Do you have any suggestions about what else they could do on that?
I mean, still got to work.
Waist up.
Waist up.
Waist up.
Okay.
Or just be that extra action walking by. We'll work something out that actually take care of your girls.
All right.
Not a problem. Take care.
Work in sex work. Okay. And there's some girls that I manage, and some about 40, 50, really kind of young. But can they?
14 and 15, really kind of young.
Abortion?
Okay. In the state of Virginia.
Okay, you should be thrown in jail, is what I would say.
12
Yeah.
up. For birth control, you can just come in and do that.
Just come in and do it.
You don't have to have a parent, okay? Now, for an abortion, though, you have to have a parent up to the age of 18.
Don't they have any like a pill? Like they could just take?
Now, we offer emergency contraception, unprotected sex up to 5 days.
Oh, see? Right there.
And that's $35.
Oh.
You just have to be an adult.
Oh,
You have to
yeah, I
have-
can pick it up from them then. All right. Thank you, Leslie. Once again.
Thank
All right.
you.
You have a good day.
If you need anything else, come by.
I will. I'm going to move on to sex work.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we have some girls that they do not necessarily have all the documentation. Some of them are from out of the country.
In other words, they're from other countries. Their parents sent them for a better life, not to be enslaved by you.
About 14, 15. How can they somehow still receive that, even if they don't have all the legal, like, is there some way they can still
We
get
don't
protection?
necessarily look at legal status. And,
Okay.
like I said, abortion appointments do require a photo ID.
Oh, just a
the
photo.
morning
Yeah, just get a photo.
Nothing as far
Okay.
as records, it's just photo ID that's
Okay.
ever going to be required.
Okay. I'm involved in sex work. Okay. There's some girls that I kind of manage, and I'm not sure how they would come in here to get tested.
Okay.
If you are tested and you're positive, your partners can come in here and they would just need to see the clinician and we could give them prescriptions.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Okay.
But everything we do here is confidential. Anybody here can help you. I mean, and
Okay.
everything here is confidential. We can't give any information out.
Okay.
Let's watch the next one.
How is it that sexual abuse of multiple victims can continue within an institution for years, sometimes decades? We get some answers from the case of Larry Nassar, the U.S. gymnastics coach who was accused of molesting at least 250 young girls, dating as far back as 1992.
Nassar's victims say that if the university had investigated the first complaint, scores of young girls may have escaped the doctor's abuse.
Larry Nassar did not arise in isolation. Rather, we saw the worst sexual assault scandal in history unfold because a predator was left in power for decades. Despite warning signs, despite red flags, despite direct reports of assault.
People heard about the abuse, they knew about the abuse, but they did nothing. In 2008, live-action investigators posed as 13 to 15-year-old girls with boyfriends as old as 31. Our investigation found 8 Planned Parenthood facilities in 6 different states that were willing to cover up sexual abuse, including disregarding mandatory reporting laws of suspected statutory rape. The following is a compilation reel of this investigation.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 13.
Okay. In the state of Indiana, you have to have a parent's signature to get an abortion.
And I would want to know who was the stepfather and everything, and I can't tell. I would want to tell them about all that stuff.
Okay.
Because I mean, really, he would be in really big trouble.
Right. Because I don't want to know how old he is. Okay.
What do you mean?
I don't want to know how old he is. Okay. And because in the state of Indiana, anyone 13 years and younger, there has to be report done to CPS.
So file it, lady. File it. So file the report to
I didn't hear
CPS.
the age. I don't want to know the age. It could be reported as rape.
Oh, okay.
And that's child abuse.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
It is
So
child
if
abuse.
I just say, I don't know who the father was, but he's one of the guys at school or something.
Right. Just, you've seen him around, he's 14, he's in your grade and whatever. So.
She's telling him to.
Okay,
She's
so
telling her
that's
to lie.
That problem solved.
How old are you? I'm 13. If I set up an appointment, are they going to ask me how my boyfriend is? Because he told me that if people found out that they would they would be very upset with him.
We don't ask anything about it. We don't really care about what the age of the child is consensual. It's your choice.
You can't give consent if you're under 18, especially if you're 13 years old. You cannot legally give consent. You're a child. That's child abuse. That's child sexual abuse.
I can't say anymore.
They should be helping her.
Okay. I said surrounding states. So, think about the states that are surrounding Indiana and do some research. You're trying to really hide it. I don't recommend the medication one, but you there's a medication one that you would miscarry home. You take a pill, it's $500, and then you put some medicine in your sheets and so forth. And I don't recommend that with your situation. You just need to get it over with.
They say that if your
Just poison the baby is no problem, right?
Forcing you to have the abortion, you have a good relationship with him. They say that it's better to have him with you for support.
Because he's
Like if you're not a minor? Okay, then
he's 27.
I wouldn't take him. Don't take him. Just say, read this. Okay, all this is in there, but you don't have to say it. That's your choice. That's your private life, and as long as you're not being forced to have sex.
How are the parents going to find out?
No, everything's confidential. How old are you?
Is that confidential?
Yeah.
I'm 14. Since he's 31. So,
Does he know how old you are?
I think not really. Yeah, because my boyfriend talked with me off and he said, take care of it, like, get your counseling and get your stuff. And so if I go back and I feel that I didn't take care of it, I'll be really upset.
Okay, but there's steps involved in taking care of things because you are underage.
Taking care of things, aka murdering your
Well,
unborn child.
actually.
Okay.
But I think that was very nice.
Okay, so would he be paying for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll pay for all of it. He's going to pay for all of it. Yeah, people are going to get it.
You have the right to an abortion, you just have to have the proper documentation.
I'm only 15 and my parents can't know about it, but my brother's like, you need to get this taken care of because I'm going to get in trouble. And
Is he older?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's confidential here, you know what I mean?
He's 27.
Okay.
He's older.
This is you. It's not me. It's not her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is like, all I could give you is either advise you or, help you out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can't say, don't, oh, I'm gonna go and do this. I can't be that way. That's not me. Okay? So the thing is,
so it's okay, like,
see, when you go, he is older. Like,
Yeah.
But when you go with the counselor, she might ask you certain questions, she might say some stuff, you know what I mean? But all that, it's up to you.
he's just older than you. He's a lot older than you.
He's 31.
Okay. And how old are you?
And is he going to get in trouble?
No.
You promise?
I don't know. Okay, the main point is that you wanna,
I'm 14, but I'm turning 15 in 2 months. So very soon.
okay.
Yeah.
And look, if we keep this conversation, I'm gonna have to talk to my manager, and yeah, he's gonna get in trouble. Because he's not supposed to, he's your age double and more windy. But in order to get I'm not gonna tell anybody, okay? Please don't say that I told you this. But you need to call them. You need to call her.
I need an ask questions about her boyfriend?
No.
They don't need
If
to
you
know.
don't mention it, just say you have a boyfriend, 17 years old, whatever.
I need to make an appointment for abortion.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Now, how old are you?
14.
How old is your boyfriend?
Is everything here confidential?
Yeah, I can't say anything.
Okay. He's 31.
He's 31. Okay.
Is it a problem about my boyfriend?
As long as you consented to having sex with him, there's nothing you can truly do about that.
Under the age of 18, she cannot legally give consent. So there you have it, folks. Planned Parenthood aiding abusers and pimps in abusing foreigners and young children, young teens. And then what do? They just give them an abortion. And I know this is true. A friend of mine, her father was sexually abusing her. She had 2 abortions with Planned Parenthood. No questions asked. Her father was the one that took her in there. That's a normal work day at Planned Parenthood. That's normal for them. They don't report abuse. They don't help girls. They help their abusers. And that's wrong. So not only does Planned Parenthood murder infants in the womb, they also help sex traffickers and abusers continue doing what they're doing. Just getting this information out there.